Welcome to Wednesday and Poetry. Now, this day I've decided to go to a wonderful book, Good Poems Selected and Introduced by Garrison Keillor. And this is available downstairs, and in fact, it's great. When you leave the patio, just walk through that door and immediately to your left, put your back to the wall, and you are face to face with poetry. This book is resting temporarily there, waiting for you to take it home and savor it. I'm going to read a few selections from this today, and I want to start with the introduction, which Garrison wrote. The goodness of a poem is severely tested by reading it on the radio. The radio audience is not the devout sisterhood you find at poetry readings, leaning forward, lips pursed, hanky in hand. It's more like a high school cafeteria. People listen to poems while they're frying eggs and sausage and reading the paper and reasoning with their offspring. So I find it wise to stay away from stuff that is too airy or that refers offhandedly to the poetly Poe or relies on your familiarity with butterflies or Spanish or Monet. Most listeners are otherwise engaged. We in radio know this. Mostly we're a backdrop for bigger things, like the Palace Guard in Aida, the surf on the sound machine, sort of prayer wheel. But sometimes a poem cuts through the static and delivers some good thing. It is of use. It gives value. James Wright's A Blessing was heard by a woman on her Walkman while hustling down a concourse at the Dallas-Fort Worth airport, and she stopped to listen to it. Though a moment before she'd been rushing to catch a plane and to be interrupted mid-stampede by a beautiful thing is a blessing indeed. Wright's poem about himself and his friend climbing through barbed wire to visit two horses in a pasture is one that gets read at weddings and memorial services, has been done in needlework and carved into wood, and appears on a brass plaque at the interstate rest stop near Rochester, Minnesota. W.S. Merwin, who we have read, says, if a poem is not forgotten as soon as the circumstances of its origin, it begins at once to evolve an existence of its own in minds and lives, and then, even in words, that its singular maker could never have imagined. And so Wright's poem has made its way in the world. A good poem. And found its way and touched people and been used in ceremonies as a friendly benediction. Now, I bet you'd like to hear this poem. So I intend on sharing it with you. A Blessing, James Wright. Just off the highway to Rochester, Minnesota, twilight bounds softly forth on the grass. And the eyes of those two Indian ponies darken with kindness. They have come gladly out of the willows to welcome my friend and me. We step over the barbed wire into the pasture where they have been grazing all day, alone. They ripple tensely. They can hardly contain their happiness that we have come. They bow shyly as wet swans. Oh, they love each other. There is no loneliness like theirs. once more, they begin munching the young tufts of spring in the darkness. I would like to hold the slender one in my arms, for she has walked over to me and nuzzled my left hand. She is black and white. Her mane falls wild on her forehead, and the light breeze moves me to caress her long ear that is delicate as the skin over a girl's wrist. Suddenly, I realize that if I stepped out of my body, I would break into blossom. So do you see why that poem was so spectacular? And now for a few others. Philip Appelman writes, "O karma, dharma, pudding and pie, give me a break before I die. Grant me wisdom, will, and wit, purity, probity, pluck, and grip, a trustworthy, loyal, helpful kind. Give me great abs and a steel trap mind, and forgive, ye gods, some humble advice. These little blessings would suffice to beget an earthly paradise. Make the bad people good, and the good people nice. And before our world goes over the brink, teach the believers how to think." Jane Kenyon gives us otherwise. I got out of bed on 2 strong legs. It might have been otherwise. I ate cereal, sweet milk, ripe, flawless peach. It might have been otherwise. I took the dog uphill to the birchwood. All morning I did the work I love. At noon I lay down with my mate. It might have been otherwise. Oh, we ate dinner together at a table with silver candlesticks. Might have been otherwise. I slept in a bed in a room with paintings on the walls, and planned another day. Oh, just like the day. But one day, I know, it will be otherwise. And this is a treat. Soaking Up Sun by Tom Hennon. I think it was perhaps today, but it was sent to my email. A friend connected me to the Writer's Almanac, and there was a poem about a toad and a frog, and really quite extraordinary. So I immediately went searching for something else by Tom Hennon, and guess what? I found it in Good Poems. This is Soaking Up Sun. Today, there is the kind of sunshine old men love. The kind of day when my grandfather would sit on the south side of the wooden corn crib, where the sunlight warmed slowly all through the day, like a wood stove. One after another, dry leaves fell. No painful memories came. Everything was lit by a halo of light. The corn stalks glinted bright as pieces of glass. From the fields, the cottonwood grove, came the damp smell of mushrooms, of things going back to earth. I sat with my grandfather then. Sheep came up to us as we sat there, their oily wool so warm to my fingers, like a strange and magic snow. My grandfather whittled sweet-smelling apple sticks just to get at the scent. His thumb had a permanent groove in it where the back of the knife blade rested. He let me listen to the wind, the wild geese, the soft dialect of sheep, while his own silence taught me every secret thing he knew. Thank you, Tom Emmett. And now from D.H. Lawrence, the piano. Softly in the dark, a woman is singing to me, taking me back down the vista of years, till I see a child sitting under the piano in the boom of the tingling strings and pressing the small poised feet of a mother who smiles as she sings. Well, in spite of myself, the insidious mastery of song betrays me back till the heart of me weeps to belong to the old Sunday evenings at home, with winter outside, and hymns in the cozy parlor, the tinkling piano our guide. So now it is vain for the singer to burst into clamor with the great black piano appassionato. The glamour of childish days is upon me. My manhood is cast down in the flood of remembrance. I weep like a child for the past. W.B. Yeats. He wishes for the cloths of heaven. Had I the heavens embroidered cloths, enwrought with golden and silver light, the blue and the dim and the dark cloths of night, and light and the half-light, I would spread the cloths under your feet. But I, being poor, have only my dreams. I have spread my dreams under your feet. Oh, tread softly, because you tread on my dreams. From Edna St. Vincent Millay, one of her sonnets. What lips my lips have kissed, and where and why, I've forgotten. And what arms have lain under my head till morning, but the rain is full of ghosts tonight that tap and sigh upon the glass and listen for reply. And in my heart there stirs a quiet pain for unremembered lads that not again will turn to me at midnight with a cry. Thus, in the winter stands the lonely tree, nor knows what birds have vanished one by one, yet knows its boughs more silent than before. I cannot say what loves have come and gone. I only know that summer sang in me a little while, that in me sings no more. John Updike has a observation in hoeing. I sometimes fear the younger generation will be deprived of the pleasures of hoeing. There is no knowing how many souls have been formed by this simple exercise. The dry earth, like a great scab, breaks, revealing moist, dark loam. The pea roots home, a fertile wound perpetually healing. How neatly the green weeds go under. The blade chops the earth new. Ignorant, the wise boy, who has never performed this simple, stupid, and useful wonder. And back from my best friend, Elizabeth Bishop, comes Manners for a Child of 1918. My grandfather said to me as we sat on the wagon seat, "Oh, be sure to remember to always speak to everyone you meet." We met a stranger on foot. My grandfather's whip tapped his hat. "Good day, sir. Good day, a fine day." And I said it and bowed where I sat. Then we overtook a boy we knew with his big pet crow on his shoulder. Always offer everyone a ride. Don't forget that when you get older, my grandfather said. So Willie climbed up with us, but the crow gave a caw and flew off. I was worried. How would he know where to go? But he flew a little way at a time, from fence post to fence post ahead, and when Willie whistled, he answered. "A fine bird," my grandfather said. Oh, and he's well brought up, see? He answers nicely when he's spoken to. Man or beast, that's good manners. Be sure that you both always do. When automobiles went by, the dust hid the people's faces, but we shouted, good day, fine day," at the top of our voices. When we came to Hustler Hill, he said that the mayor was tired. So we all got down and walked, as our good manners required. And from Mary Oliver, wild geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert, repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. tell me about despair. Yours. And I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese high in the clean blue air are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh, exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. And no collection is complete without an offering from Emily Dickinson. And for her today, I speak. Oh, tell all the truth, but tell it slant. Success in circuit lies too bright for our infirm delight. The truth's superb surprise is lightning to the children eased with explanation kind. The truth must dazzle gradually, or every man be blind. December Moon, from May Sarton. Well known as a poet, a short story writer, but also as a journalist who wrote the most fabulous collection of thought-provoking journals, many of which I have actually read. Before going to bed after a fall of snow, I look out on the field, shining there in the moonlight, so calm, untouched and white. Snow silence fills my head after I leave the window. Hours later, near dawn, when I look down again, the whole landscape has changed. The perfect surface gone. Crisscrossed and written on where the wild creatures ranged while the moon rose and shone. Why did my dog not bark? Why did I hear no sound there on the snow-locked ground in the tumultuous dark? How much can come? How much can go when the December moon is bright? What worlds of play we'll never know, sleeping away the cold white night after a fall of snow. And Kaddish, which is actually a prayer done oftentimes for the dead. David Ignatow wrote this. Mother of my birth, for how long were we together in your love and my adoration of yourself? For the shadow of a moment as I breathed your pain and you breathed my suffering. As we know of shadows in lit rooms that would always swallow the light. Your face beneath the oxygen tent was alive, but your eyes closed. Your breathing hoarse. Your sleep was with death. I was alone with you as when I was young, but now only alone, not with you. To become alone forever as I was learning, watching you become alone. Earth now is your mother, as you were mine, my earth, my sustenance and my strength. And now, without you, I turn to your mother and seek from her that I meet you again in rock and stone. Whisper to the stone, I love you. Whisper to the rock, I found you. Whisper to the earth, Mother, I have found her, and I am safe, and always have been. And now, to end on a happier note, a poem, Authorship, by James Bial Naylor. King David and King Solomon led merry, merry lives, with many, many lady friends and many, many wives. But when old age crept over them, with many, many qualms, King Solomon wrote the Proverbs, and King David wrote the Psalms. Go, find this and other treasures at Story and Song. I'll see you on Friday for some wonderful short stories, or actually the first chapter of a book by Steinbeck.